Hello, and today on CarTraction, to celebrate recent 1,000 subs, thank you very much, but more on that later, I thought I'd do a little video talking about our magnificent 1956 Standard 8. Now this car has been with us for quite a while, but I've been wanting to do a video talking about the history of Standard and why I love this particular car for quite a while. So I thought to celebrate the recent 1,000 subs, huge achievement, thank you so much for subscribing, here's a quick video about this wonderful little car. The Standard Motor Company was set up in March of 1903 and made lots of small cars before the war, such as the Flying 8, 9 and Flying 10, and these cars after World War II were reintroduced, but it was obvious that they couldn't keep making them forever because there were all sorts of new cars, competition coming from Austin with the A30 and soon to be the 100E Ford Anglia, so Standard needed a blank sheet for a new economy car. Alright, so we've had a bit of a relocation due to a bit of wind and road noise, but let's have a little talk about this wonderful little engine now. Standard was given a blank sheet for the new car, and its engine was a completely brand new engine, nothing like any of the pre-war standards. It was an 803cc overhead valve 4-cylinder engine. So the engine in this car, 803cc, would make about 28 brake horsepower, so we're not breaking any land speed records, but for an old car it's perfectly fine. And the Standard 8 was designed to be a really affordable, really cheap 4-door saloon, and that is exactly what it was. It undercut the prices of the likes of the Ford Anglia 100Es. Some of the pre-war Fords were a bit cheaper, but those were a lot less refined. Those had 3-speed non-synchromesh gearboxes, as this has a 4-speed gearbox with 3 synchromesh gears. Obviously the first one doesn't have synchromesh. Anyway, the engine. So this engine was actually used until the 1970s. It was put into the likes of the Triumph Herald because of course Standard bought Triumph in 1945. So for the Triumph Herald this engine was enlarged from 803cc to about 1.2 litres. That's quite a big increase in size. It was also put in some of the Triumph Spitfires, and for the Triumph Spitfire 1500, which was the last of the Spitfires, it was enlarged to a huge 1.5 litres, which really demonstrates what a usable and great engine this was to be put into even a sports car. And it doesn't look the same here in this little 4-door saloon at all, does it? So one of the main competitors of this would have been the Austin A30, and that's had the BMC A series engine, which was also 803cc, and in the Austin A35 it was enlarged to 948cc. And you see on the Austin A30s and A35s it's a very small bonnet and you have to really lean in, but on this Standard we got this great big bonnet here, and you can see it's really easy to get to everything. It's just a lovely car to work on. And of course, if you want to, you can put one of the larger Spitfire Herald engines in to increase the performance of your little pedestrian 4-door saloon. And this great little SC engine also formed the basis of the Triumph 6-cylinder engine that was found first of all as a 1.6 unit in some of the early Vitesses, and was then found in the likes of the Triumph 2000 and the Mark II Vitesses as a 2-litre unit. So it really just demonstrates how this little engine went on to go into many other Triumph or Standard cars, either as a 4-cylinder or 6-cylinder unit. So a great little engine for a great little car. Another thing to point out is that the Standard 8 has hydraulic brakes all the way around, and you can see the little master cylinder here, lovely and easy to get at. Now this is in contrast to the Austin A30, which had hydraulic brakes on the front and had mechanical brakes on the back, which is a bit of an awkward system, and it meant that the master cylinder was buried away underneath the car somewhere and it wasn't very easy to work on. But as you can see with the Standard, one of the many advantages of this little car is everything is easy to get at. Now the Standard 8 really was the cheapest 4-door saloon you could buy on the British market, retailing at just about £480. And it was an incredibly practical car, apart from the fact that there is no boot. There was just a little hatch behind the seats. Now, in period, Standard said that this was a safety feature to avoid people nicking stuff out of your boot, but really, it was just Standard saving as much money as they could to make sure this car was the cheapest 4-door saloon on the British market, which it was. And a year later, after the 8's introduction, there was the new Standard 10. Now this had a few more refinements, a bit of an extra grille, and it had a boot lid, but the main difference is it had a 948cc 4-cylinder engine. Basically this engine slightly enlarged for the 10, and after that they introduced different models such as the Companion Estate, which really does make a lovely little car. The Standard 8 really was a brilliant little saloon. There's perfectly ample space for 4 passengers. Now the idea of having not a boot but a flap behind the seats here does sound a bit off-putting, but actually it really is quite practical. As you can see, there's quite a bit of space behind there. As you can see, these seats are quite thin but still quite comfy actually, which gives quite a bit of knee room for the rear passengers. Now this car's a 1956 model, which means it doesn't have semaphore indicators, but some of the very first ones would have had pop-out indicators there, but this car, being a 56 model, has them at its back. So let's just have a quick look inside. So we've got the 1 dial for the speedo, that's all we really need to know. Choke, wipers, heater, ignition, headlights and the starter. Really simple gearbox to use, really light steering and great visibility because these pillars are quite thin, and being just a generally little car, I can see all around me really well, so it is a really practical and easy car to use every day. Now as we can see, these doors are actually of quite a good size. There's perfectly good legroom, and of course this car was always meant to be a 4-door, whereas the A30 that was sold as a 2-door and a 4-door, which means it's not quite as practical maybe as the Standard. Now let's talk a little bit about this car itself. So as I've just said, it's a 1956 Standard 8. We bought it just over a year ago, if I think. Now I'm sure you've noticed it is far from perfect condition, but this is our runabout sort of thing. If it's a bit wet like today, or the weather's not quite perfect, all the sort of minters, well, I say that, they're not mint at all, but all the slightly cleaner ones can stay inside and we can still have some fun at a slightly maybe damper car show in this wonderful little Standard 8. Now some of the very last of the Standard 8s would have had a boot lid, but this is a 56 model, as you can see, all very smooth across the top there with the space for the behind the seats luggage. So let's have a look around here. We've got nice and easy to see brake lights and indicators. Nice. Is that a brake light as well? I think that serves as.
Mm-hmm.
It's just really simple, great little car, isn't it?
That's a bit like the Austin Metropolitan, isn't it, that we saw the other day?
That is very true.
That was an early Nash Metropolitan, and that didn't have a boot lid either, but the later cars did.
But I mean, what a great car for a first classic. So practical, so cheap to run, isn't it? 803cc, it makes 43 miles per gallon. The motor tested that, so I can confirm that. And just what a great little car. It's not expensive to buy, not expensive to run. There's a decent club, there's quite a few parts around, and these cars aren't quite as well known as say a Morris Minor, which means you can probably find them for a little bit cheaper than the likes of A30s or Morris Minors. So what a great starter classic. And as you can see, we've fully kitted out this Standard 8 to the max. We've got an Alton Park sticker here for our local circuit, and then if we come round the front, we've got an extra car and car conversion sticker and a couple of nice old Lucas lamps, and Dad does like his knickknacks, and for the year of this car, 1956, we've got a matching AA Members Annual Handbook. Now one thing me and Dad also like about this car is its number, UWD 581. Now this is an original number, and one thing you often find with some of these cheaper old cars is that the numbers get taken off them for horrific age-related plates, but it's good to have this one here because some people buy an old car, put the age-related one on them, and take off these for maybe someone to put on their modern Audi or something like that. But I think, and Dad thinks as well, it's just great to have the original number with the original car. Now there may be a few people, young people, who are watching this video from my school. Now CarTraction has actually been quite popular at year 10 in my school, so here's a little bit of a shout out to those who have requested their names be on this video. So here we are, the first ever shout out on CarTraction. So thanks to Harry Koshel, Harry Thompson, Harrison Bracegirdle, Josh Black, Harrison Saunders and Rachel King, Bailey Moss, Seth Carter, who also wanted Tom Croft to be mentioned, and Max O'Connor for watching my videos in school. Now let's get back to the video. But now I think we'll go out for a little bit of a spin and get some action footage. But I think that's about it for this little special video about this very lovely little car. Now, if you have any memories of these, do you have one? Does anyone you know have one in period? Anything like that? Do you like it? Then please do let me know in the comments. And if you're not one of those 1,070 odd now subscribers, please do click that tempting little button and make sure to comment below as I've just said. Thanks for watching.